youtube.com/openupyourmind101.
Well, what we're doing is changing the chemistry of a person, and when you change the chemistry, you're basically changing their diet. And you can change a person's diet by giving them Tylenol. That's a change in their diet. Or giving them alcohol to drink. That's a change in their diet. Or putting the chemical directly into their veins, which is a change in their diet. But we don't see dietary change being done in traditional medicine. We think it's just with the food. But everybody's changing the diet. So if I change the diet and put synthetic hormones in this person to such a level, I can alter their biochemistry, which alters the biochemistry of the brain. And I also took away the whole natural birthing process. And we are looking at the results of the hospital birthing process, which we don't count. We're given this oxytocin, which causes historical amnesia. It disconnects you from your source. And we're not looking at the birthing process, especially with the drugs. Once you to the lady, that goes into the baby, and that alters the baby's ability to think, and they get confusion, and they get obsessive-compulsive behavior because they obsessively want to find their mother and their father. Develop this obsessive-compulsive behavior, and since they're subjected to this these imaging machines, which you call computers, which stimulate the lower part of your brain, which would, I don't want to get too physiological here. It stimulates the imaging part of your brain and not the part of your brain that says this is not morally correct. Imaging machines do that. It's like I lift weights by only using my right arm, so my right arm is going to get bigger than my left arm. So I'm constantly using an imaging machine, which stimulates the imaging part of my brain, and the part of my brain that says this is not morally correct gets small. So we have a new brain. This is physiology. In 1980, basically the brain changed totally. We have a new brain that deals with images and not deals with the morality or the ma'at of an idea or thought. So we have to talk to this brain differently than talking to the brain of 1950 or 1960. And not only that, we have altered the brain to such a process that where it becomes addicted to this chemical made by the imaging machine, because vision turns into a liquid to get to the brain. So we have caused an addiction to this imaging machine where the person can't get off of it, because we're not associating the chemical made from looking at something and the chemical made from listening to something. So we have a person addicted to an imaging machine and the whole process. So now they're addicted to the disconnect with their nature, which is a disconnect to their mother, which is a disconnect to their father, which is a disconnect to their culture. So they're to this disconnect, and they're just expressing this disconnect in their sexual behavior, just as someone who's angry or upset is going to disconnect from their proper diet. They probably eat a whole lot of sweets. So they have a dietary disconnect. We see that as visual, but they also have you have an emotional disconnect and a visual disconnect where the person becomes addicted to violence or some shooting and fussing and fighting in these little games they play on the computer. They're addicted to it, and they become addicted to their disconnect, which some people would call the Stockholm Syndrome, where you become a master. So they become addicted to this distorted logic and this distorted emotions and thought process. And they know physiologically that there's no sex glands in no man's ass behind. So there's no sexual function for the asshole of a man. They know that physiologically. But I got them addicted to a disconnect. So me just explaining physiology to them, say, see, a bowel movement comes out of this hole here, and that's what it's for. No penis goes in this hole here. So they don't grasp this idea. Basic physiology. I've never seen two bulls married to each other in my life, or two roosters. I don't see this in nature, but if I feed them a certain way and cause them to behave a certain way in a concentration camp, what we call a ghetto, I can do anything I want. Chemistry is always playing a role in it, always.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
People in Red Bull going to school. I mean, they alternate chemicals going to school. Now with marijuana legal, they alternate chemistry. When I taught a class in California. I think it was about 4 years ago. The children went on a break, and they were outside smoking marijuana because they had a medical prescription for it. So when they came back to the classroom, it was just, what the hell am I talking for? They weren't there. They were just disconnected. All of these chemicals are floating in the system, and it's nothing more chemicalized than marijuana because they got to grow this stuff fast so they can sell it fast. So they have altered that whole thing. Marijuana today is just another freak. GMO, everything. But they're not looking at it. No one that says, I'm only going to smoke organic marijuana. Please. Give me a break. So they just saturate themselves with chemicals on so many different levels, synthetic chemicals, that is through the Red Bull, the sodas, the synthetic estrogen in the hamburgers and the marijuana and the cigarettes and the alcohol. It's a chemical madness.
YouTube.com/OpenUpYourMind101